Now, the point is, you say they face a difficult challenge. Aren't we overstating the difficulty here? We've seen what happens with 70%, 80% vaccination rates in New South Wales and Victoria, two states that had large outbreaks, so there was a lot of virus around. And then we've seen the states live with it now very, very comfortably. It's all going very, very well. So states like Queensland, Western Australia, South Australia, that now have high vaccination rates, should have no problem now bringing down their borders and opening up their states.
Well, this is the thing, Chris. We've had 2 cases in North Queensland and one in Cairns and Cairns. No community transmissions from them. For some reason, it doesn't like the North. And we've got a sparse population, doesn't mean, but we'll have exactly the same set of rules as intercity Brisbane. And when it comes to December the 17th, when they're rolling out mandates, the clubs, pubs around Queensland have got no idea how they're supposed to police this. And, and it's particularly relevant for regional areas that I represent, where you've got remote pubs, clubs, whatever. They're going to be quasi-security guards. Now, most of them won't have the staff to man their service industry establishments like your pubs and clubs because they won't have the staff to do that, and they've got nothing from the government how to roll that out at this point. And, it's always just a one-size-fits-all. So like I said at the start, it's conveniently very easy to just say, it's all got to be a mandate for 90% and that's it. And let's not look at rapid testing, anything else. And once it's that, we're absolved of all guilt because we've kept people safe, and that's the end of it. That doesn't address the material risk of which faces all these different regions around the country. As you said, it's concentrated in some areas. You work harder on those. Other areas, it's not. You don't. There's not as much risk surrounding that. You treat it differently, but very immature response. And it doesn't surprise me that it comes like that, but very frustrating. And it could be nothing less than chaotic on the busiest day of the year. For most pubs and clubs, 17th, it'll be the last week people have a lot of people before they knock off for Christmas. That day will be the day they start enforcing laws, and none of those pubs and clubs in Queensland have any idea what the protocols are, the fines, anything around that in 4 weeks' time.
Whatever the protocols are, though, isn't all this based on a big lie that they're perpetuating, and they're demonising the unvaccinated? Now, I think everybody should get vaccinated. Frankly, I don't understand why some people are holding out, but we've got very high vaccination rates, so there's not the disease running rampant in the community. And we know from the medical advice that we don't have anything to fear from the unvaccinated. The medicos will tell you there's perhaps a slightly higher chance that if they are infected, they could spread it a bit more than someone who's vaccinated. But even the data on that's not strong. The point is, if you're vaccinated, you're protected to the largest degree you can be. So why do we want to divide society like this? When can we say the same rules apply to everyone?
It's a good point. And I would argue that at this point in Queensland, it's almost becoming counterintuitive, because I personally know people that said, look, I don't have a problem with vaccinations, and I was going to go and get it in, but now that they're telling me to do it, I'm not going to do it because I value it's become a freedoms and liberties issue, and now on principle they're not going to do it. So I honestly believe all the effort they're putting in from now on in Queensland is counterintuitive, and they simply lack the legitimacy in regions where they kick us to death half the time, and they come out now and say, hey, we want to make a decision that's going to be really oppressive on you and segregate your society, but you're going to do it because we're telling you to. Guess what's going to happen? You're going to get backlash in the regions. And one other point too, Chris, is they've completely emaciated our health system here in Queensland, particularly in remote areas that I represent. And to come out and say, hey, a lot of people, you've got bad, which the Premier did exactly this in Parliament today, having a go at my area, saying you've got low rates. Well, guess what? When you ignore health system for last 20 years and underfund it, guess what happens? You try and overload the biggest vaccination program in history on top of that sick health system. Well, yeah, you're going to have problems. And, country people got to drive 5 hours in and it's not convenient that day. They can't get the jab that day. Well, yeah, they're not going to get the jab. And that's literally happening, and she's blaming us for that. So that's another area.
Let's hope that they can open up as quickly as possible. Thanks for joining us, Robbie.
Thanks, Chris.